You might think you know this story, but not so fast. As many of you may have heard at this point, Randy Blaukat was disqualified from Day 3 of the Major League Fishing Toyota Series event on Lake of the Ozarks this past weekend. Well, what got him? Well, he got hemmed up by a version of that pesky rule that's been dominating bass fishing over the last couple of years, the no information rule. But how'd it go down? Well, we talked to his friend that he talked to on the phone, as well as two co-anglers that were in the house, and an official from Major League Fishing, as well as Randy himself. So let's break it down. Now, leading up to the event, Randy shared some information with a fellow competitor that was going to be fishing the event. By the way, that's totally legal. The gentleman's name was Phil Ralston. He gave him an area of the lake called Hurricane Deck and said, you might go check that area out. Sure enough, Phil went up there on day 1 and caught some fish. However, day 2 wasn't as kind to Ralston. It saw him miss the cut for day 3. Meanwhile, Randy cleared the hurdle and ended up qualifying for the top 25 day 3 of the competition. But that's where things get messy. See, there's a special no information rule for the guys that made the top 25 day 3 cut. Essentially, they can't talk information with anybody that fell outside of that cut line. So if another angler's still fishing on day 3 with you, you can talk about the lake with them. If they fell outside of that cut line, no bueno. Now, per usual, guys get together and room at different spots across the lake, right? Well, in this situation, Ralston found himself at a property with a group of guys, which included a couple of co-anglers, one of which was his co-angler link for the series, and the other guy was kind of new to the group. Their names, John Morales and Casey Kidder. So at the end of day 2 of competition, everybody arrived back at the house, and well, John Morales was understandably excited that he had made that day 3 cut, the top 25. So he kind of gathered people around to say, listen, I'm a top 25 guy. Remember, don't be talking shop with me. Don't go getting me DQ'd. Just a reminder. It was at this point a heated discussion broke out between Morales and Ralston. It seems like Morales was kind of taking the hard line of black and white, rules are rules, etc. To whereas Ralston was like, dude, we're all adults. We know where the line is. No one's going to break it. Chill. It's not rocket science. Well, it got kind of contentious. So while sitting around the dinner table enjoying dinner, Ralston receives a phone call from Randy Blaukat. He excuses himself from the dinner table and goes in the living room to sit on the couch to finish the phone call. Randy's giving him kind of the friendly heads up, saying, hey, that spot I gave you up at Hurricane Deck prior to the tournament, I'm going to be needing it back because my fish are kind of running dry. Kind of the courtesy phone call. He didn't have to call him and let him know because he even gave him the water, but it's like, hey, dude, I'm going to be needing it back. Meanwhile, Morales is close by, kind of getting only half the conversation. Well, once the phone call is completed, Ralston, being a dude in a house full of dudes, and on the heels of that heated argument with Morales, walks back in the room and says something effective, yep, Randy needed some spots. Totally tongue-in-cheek, total shtick. No new information was shared, no competitive advantage gained. Just shtick after that argument. Morning comes and it's day 3, top 25 championship day. It sees both Blaukat and Morales facing off as part of that elite group on the final day of competition. But at some point during that afternoon, Morales gets his phone and places a phone call to Mark, I believe the last name is McWaugh, the tournament director for the event. And he informs him about the previous night's conversation between Ralston and Blaukat. Upon returning to the ramp for weigh-in, Mark immediately pulls aside Randy and questions him about the phone conversation from the night before. Randy immediately owns up to it for a couple of reasons. First, he didn't see it as anything wrong. I mean, there was no competitive advantage, no information shared. And second, the rule wasn't clicking. Why? In all honesty, it's been a bit since Randy's been in one of the top 25 meetings, right? No dig, just fact. And then Mark himself says that he mentioned this rule at the top of the meeting. Randy was late due to vehicle issues. So he wasn't remembering the rule. He didn't get the briefing on it, and it just wasn't computing. Now, is it his job to know the rules? Absolutely. But was it intentional? No, it was a brain fart. This is one of those rare instances where a polygraph wasn't even needed. He didn't deny it. He owned up to it immediately. He didn't throw a hissy fit, didn't threaten to sue. He took his lumps like a man. He was embarrassed about it and even apologized. Those of you who are familiar with the channel know that I've done several of these deep dive investigations over the years. I'm starting to notice a little bit of a trend. Those folks that have something to hide, when I come calling, they haul ass. Folks who are being honest, it's I am a sight for sore eyes because they know I'll get to the bottom of the situation. As I said at the start of this video, I've interviewed all parties involved and I've reached the following conclusion. I think in order for cheating to be cheating, there has to be an intent to gain a competitive advantage. Anything else is a rule infraction. Was this a rule infraction? Yes, and it ended in a day 3 disqualification. Bear in mind, I think this all stems from a heated conversation between an angler and his co-angler Link over this very rule. Half the conversation was heard, misinterpreted, and things went off the road from there. Now bear in mind, in another conversation between Ralston and Morales supposedly said something to the effect of, if he heard some information concerning the lake, he could simply ignore it and disregard it. If that's the case, why couldn't Randy? I mean, where in the hell is the line? As it stands, Ralston feels horrible about his part in the situation. Randy's embarrassed, and honestly, this thing could have been avoided. Let's just say for a moment that after the heated argument and then the subsequent conversation between Ralston and Blaukat, the co-angler would have kind of broken through that shtick bravado at the end of the call and said, wait, did you just give him waypoints? Maybe that bravado could have been broken down, the situation explained, and we wouldn't be having this conversation. But here we are. As we speak, other channels are out there trying to clean up the poop mess that they've made because they didn't have all the facts when they very first started talking about the subject. Meanwhile, I'm over here doing my research. I may not be first, but damn it, I'm going to be right. And finally, before we go, let's talk a little bit about that C word. And no, not the word that women hate, but cheaters. We throw that term around way too freaking much. A forward-facing sonar unit is not a cheater's box. It's not cheating if it's being used in a tournament where it's allowed. Just like rule infractions aren't always cheating. If they're done with the intent of gaining an unfair advantage over other competitors, yes, that's cheating. Otherwise, it's just a rule infraction. Let's start being more careful about how we use that word. And let's save it for real tournament cheaters and ex-wives and girlfriends. And with that said, I want to thank each and every single one of you for watching and being here today. Please do me a favor. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, and even consider becoming a member. And don't forget that news tips hotline here at the bottom of the screen. As always, I want to give a special shout out to all my channel members. I couldn't do without you guys. Until next time we meet, do me a favor. Get your gear, enjoy this beautiful fall weather, get out there on the water, and keep it wet.
Yo, it's a real tackle, let's get to the facts. I don't sugarcoat nothing, I'm spitting the max. You think I'm holding back? Nah, I better step back. I'm dropping lines like